Good afternoon and hello to everyone. It gives me great pleasure to be with you here this afternoon, first session of the first day of MIHAS 17. This is the first session of the industry zone, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to you today about the synergy between halal and sustainability sectors. Also give it a little bit of post-COVID-19 perspective. What I think, just a little bit of information about myself. My name is Hussam Sultan. I'm the regional head of commercial banking at CIMB Islamic Bank, based here in Malaysia. I've been a practitioner of Islamic banking and finance for a good part of 17 years, and also a practitioner of sustainable financing for a good part of 8 years now as well. I've been with CIMB for nearly 4 years, and in Malaysia nearly 8 years in January next year. This was an area of my interest and research, and I've done quite a bit of work on both developing halal and sustainability when it comes to banking and how banks can help those two sectors develop, particularly for SMEs, and how they could come together to provide business opportunity, as well as doing the right thing, but doing it also as a commercial proposition. So what will I be speaking to you today? And hopefully you will find this session informative and slightly, thought-provoking. And also I'll be telling you a little bit about what we do in CIMB and how we look to develop those sectors and the thinking behind what I will be saying to you in the next half an hour or so. So if you move to the first slide, please. The first slide is just a little bit of background. So the first thing we will start with, if I move to the next slide, will be on what is sustainability? How do we define sustainability? And I do apologize. Next slide, please. And I do apologize if this is a basic definition, and I'm sure you have seen it before. And I'm sure that this is not new, but basically what the United Nations developed, this was a definition that was agreed upon back in the mid 80s of the 20th century, when the United Nations issued one of their reports, and in that report they had a definition: is sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So that's the definition of sustainable development. Out of that definition then became the sustainable part of sustainable development. And sustainable basically is the idea that whatever business activities you do, be it production or consumption for that matter, will take into account the impact of these activities, commercial activities, production or consumption, on people, on the planet, on the environment, and of course, the impact on the business itself in terms of profitability. So this is the idea behind sustainability. Sustainability, although to a lot of people it sounds like mainly focusing on the environmental impact, it's a lot more than just that. It focuses on the impact on people, on planet, on profit, and also the commerciality of this activity and how it affects people's lives and economies in general. So I don't want to dwell onto that, but I mean, this is the basic idea, and how this idea can be developed further is also there's many other terminologies that I used, whether it's green, eco, sustainable, responsible, many other ESG compliant, green, many other definitions you will find in the literature now, that are talking basically about this. How do we measure the impact? How do we recognize the impact and see how it interacts with businesses? Next slide, please. So why is sustainability important? Well, also I'm sure you've seen it in the newspapers lately over the last few years, and there is a dire impact of not paying attention to sustainability. These are some of the impacts that will directly impact us here in Malaysia. Some of these researches are published, and you can go and search. Some of these are updated. Some of them are very close to home. As much as 18% of Malaysia might be underwater by the end of this century. This is, some of these reports are published. Heat-related deaths will increase. GDP will decline as a result of not doing anything about sustainability or addressing these challenges, as we will discuss further on. Impact on food, scarcity of food, crop yields in ASEAN, also in terms of marine lives, the corals underwater will fall down, and there is a picture you can paint that will show that the impact of not paying attention to sustainability will have very, very severe consequences on all of us. So the idea here, it's not important, is actually a very, very outdated question. We should no longer ask why sustainability is important. It's now we are in the second stage, is how do we engage sustainability in our lifestyle, in our businesses? What do we need to do to address all these challenges to minimize the damage that could be caused by these studies, highlighted by these studies and researchers? Next slide, please. Now, who is sustainability important to, and why? Well, investors, people who put money in business and want to achieve success in that business and profitability. So the investors also care about the environment, because why? Because they know that the future will adapt to these challenges. The future will have to be compliant with these standards that we put there. Imagine you are in a factory that manufactures a certain product, be it a plastic product or a machine, and then you realize that you produce waste. How do you dispose of that waste will affect not just the profitability in terms of how much you spend to recycle that waste or get rid of that waste, but also if you do it in a way that damages the environment, it could come back to you in terms of fines, in terms of legal cases against the company, and so on. So the changes there are in the best interest of investors. They want to see that those practices are done appropriately. Why? So that the business can last the test of time, and the businesses that they are investing their money in will be there for the future. Employees, there's an increasing awareness now amongst employees. They will choose a company that have good policies, good moral policy, a company that treats them well, a company that it pays attention to their needs, a company that looks after them as human beings. So these are all trends in the support the notion of having to adopt sustainability practices in business. Consumers, 2/3 of consumers in 6 international markets and 82% of in emerging markets believe that they have a responsibility to buy products which are good for environment and society, especially amongst the youngsters. The millennials now are willing, even not just they will choose the right product, but they're willing to pay an extra 10 to 15% more for sustainable products and services. Why? Because the future is theirs. They believe that they want Earth to be preserved for them and also for their future generations. 33% of consumers buy brands they believe are environmentally and socially good. So these are, as I said, these statistics are dynamic. So what was 33% here in this slide may now be 40%. The more we see highlights of this in the media, the more we see highlights of this in our neighborhoods, in our villages, in our hometowns, we realize that this is a serious business. Shareholders, this is similar to also investors. Shareholders, people who buy equity in companies or people who invest in shares, also they want to see companies that have good practices, good corporate citizens, companies that do good, not just financially, but do good in terms of their impact. This is why sustainability is important. Now, if I move to the next slide, what is halal? Now I'm going to come to what is sustainability, what is sustainable business. Now I'm not going to speak about what halal is, because we know what halal is. Halal is another discussion, is a definition based on rules of Islamic law and rules of fiqh. whereby it just literally means permissible as far as Islamic law is concerned. But what is the halal economy? Halal economy is defined by the State of the Global Islamic Economy report as sectors comprising core products and services that are structurally affected by Islamic ethics and law. I mean, it's a very simple definition, but they just obviously, we all know what halal economy is. Companies that are basically, they do their business or manufacture and produce their products in a way that complies with the rules of Islamic law. Now, this is a very simple definition, and everyone could have said, yes, we know that. But the idea here, why I'm highlighting this, is because as soon as we say halal or halal business, the first thing that comes to mind is food and beverages. Everyone thinks of halal food. Perhaps maybe because that's the most visible sector that we see. That's, when we go to a restaurant and see the halal certificate hanged on the wall, or because we know that halal is important to a lot of people when they consume their food and they buy their products, they want to see that halal label. However, when we define halal as an economy, we talk about everything, almost everything, from pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, even the halal and food, even the halal food and beverages, the ingredients that go there, the agri products, the raw material that go into it. I remember a few years ago, someone asked, why is bottles of water like this one have a label that says halal? How can water be halal? And we've asked this question. We raised this question with halal authorities, and we said, why is water labeled as halal? I said, well, you know what? Some of the water filters used by water manufacturing companies and water bottling companies, some of these filters may come from animals that are not compatible with Islamic law. So this is the level of details that some of these companies will go to. So now that goes into not just halal food and beverages, but pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, media and recreation, fashion. Now, although fashion may not be stamped or labeled as halal, but fashion is as an industry now, it covers textile, covers modest fashion, and not just tudongs or hijabs that ladies wear, but any textile that can come and be used for modest fashion. And this is also, interestingly enough, appealing for Muslims and non-Muslims alike. So this is in a nutshell what the halal economy is. It's more than just the food and beverages. It covers a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the even logistic companies, even storage companies. They all have a role to play in ensuring the purity of the products that will eventually be labeled as halal. So it's a life cycle of a product. All the supply chain that contributes to making that product that will be halal will eventually have to be come under the notion of the halal economy. Next slide, please. So this is the size of the halal economy globally, about $2.02 trillion of consumer spending. The market is huge. If we just talk about Muslim majority countries, there's about, 40 plus countries. The members of OIC are 50 plus. Can you stay in that preview? Thank you. It is estimated that Muslim population of the world will grow to be 25% of the world's population by 2050, I believe. But regardless, the appeal of Islam of halal products, it goes beyond just the Muslim consumer. It goes beyond that. So the market size globally is huge. It extends to Muslims and non-Muslims alike. It extends to more than just food and beverages, and it's a lucrative market from a business perspective. It's driven largely by consumer markets with a large supply gap and changing demographics and increased awareness and digitalization. Next slide, please. Now, like we saw with the halal, with the sustainability, why is it important? Why is halal important? A number of factors. Number one, national strategies. Many countries, Muslim majority countries, realized, actually not just Muslim majority countries, many economies that supply end products to Muslim majority markets realize that this is a lucrative market. So a lot of countries now are developing strategies to enter that market. And I'm not going to mention here the obvious ones like Malaysia, Indonesia, United Arab Emirates. I will mention countries that are not Muslim majority countries like Thailand, like China as well. They are all eyeing this growing market. Now, also countries in the Muslim world that have for so long relied on oil and gas, they are now realizing that the days of the oil and gas are numbered. And in probably 30 years' time, there will be less reliance on oil and gas, and there will be a need to other resources. So they're trying to diversify the economy, and halal is one of the areas that they have highlighted potential. Supply gap in the international markets also is another factor why halal is important as an economy or as a business. There's about 80% gap between the demand of the Muslim population and the supply in the market. Global acceptability, an increasing level of acceptability now for halal. It's not just for Muslim, it's not just in Muslim countries, but also you can find halal in many other markets. We spoke to businesses in Japan, in Korea. They are looking to grow this, for example, their tourism sectors by inviting tourists from large Muslim countries in the Middle East and also in Southeast Asia. They're looking to host international games like the Olympics and the World Cup, and hence they need to cater for the needs of Muslim consumers. Consumers themselves are also a major factor there. Rising awareness amongst consumers in OIC countries and the millennials. So here you can see the similarities already, the synergy between halal and sustainability. Consumers, millennials, market demand, the movement of the market going there. I have a slide. Next slide will be on the synergies there, and also the intra-OIC trade growth between Muslim countries or members of the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Conference countries. There is a growing trade between those countries. It is not as big as it should be, but it's growing. There is an increased awareness there. So there is here, what I highlighted in the last few slides is that there is a case definitely for sustainability, and there is a case definitely for halal as a business propositions. So if I move to the next slide, please. Now, if you look at halal ranking by countries, you can see there Malaysia is ranked number 1. This is for the 8th year running since this report has been produced and published. Malaysia has always been the number 1 country. Why is that? Not because Malaysia produces a larger number of products, but because Malaysia has the right ecosystem, from government support, from the standards, from the banking industry that supports the growth of the halal sectors, and also from the consumer awareness and also the regulatory push and the government strategy for that. Now, if you look on the right hand side and you see the top 10 exporters of halal products to OIC countries, to Muslim majority countries, you will see the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, only the last one there, the first top 10, only the 9th one is a Muslim majority country. The first one is Brazil, US, you can see there France, you can see Argentina, Germany, Australia, all of these countries, large, and they're huge exporters of halal labeled products. But only Indonesia comes at number 10. And even though Malaysia is the number 1 ranked in terms of the ecosystem and what is, everything else that go with it, what we see here is that Malaysia is not even shown in the top 10. Malaysia is number 15. So what are we saying here? The business case for businesses here in Malaysia to start looking into the halal sectors, and also while keeping in mind the challenges of the sustainability as we saw earlier, is a business priority. That is the name of the game post-COVID-19. Looking into halal and keeping in mind why is that? There's many reasons for this. If you move to the next slide. So we spoke about sustainability. We began with sustainability. We spoke about halal. And then we said, okay, there are synergies there. They meet somewhere there. Where do they meet? Changing consumer demands. We saw that there is an increasing health consciousness. And this is not just Muslims and non-Muslims. Accelerated by the COVID situation, people now are more conscious what they eat and how they eat, and looking after their health, increasing their immunity, increasing the level of their body resistance to viruses, to illnesses. So there is an increased awareness of health, of well-being. Number two, under the changing consumer demands, big consumer brands also entering this. You have the likes of Nestle, the likes of even in the banking sector, like big global banks like HSBC, Standard Chartered are also looking into these sectors and seeing what could be done there, because they are there to serve their businesses who will serve the markets. So big brands, this is no longer a game for the small shops and the small businesses. This is a big consumer brands market now. Number three is quality assurance. People, when they are conscious of what they eat, conscious of the brands, they want to see what are the steps taken to make sure that this is a quality assurance. They will look for halal labels, they will look for sustainability labels, they will look for, if they are after an organic label, they will look for this is organic. If it's a fair trade, they will look for the labels. So they want someone to give them that assurance that these are checked by someone, complying with certain standards and of good quality. What else is there happening influencing this closeness or intersection between halal and sustainability? Shifting global economies. Number one, the decline of oil and gas. As I mentioned, reliance on oil and gas. Now we are thinking about renewable energy, clean energy, and we're talking about fossil fuel firing of global economy. We're talking about net zero, decarbonizing of economies. All of these global shifts are taking place now and will reach a peak probably by the mid of this century, by 2050. So this decline necessitates that there will be a shift away from oil and gas. And who are the major oil and gas producers? Majority of them are majority Muslim countries. What will they be diversifying their products to? Possibly halal is a good alternative there. Major global events speeding up the change, pandemic, supply chain shifts, the rise of China. A few years ago, there was a report mentioned, published by Foreign Policy magazine that says China wants to feed the world's 1.8 billion Muslims. China now have the strategy of the Belt and Road initiative, and that Belt and Road will go from China all the way to Europe. On the way to Europe, will pass 27 Muslim majority countries. So along that line, they want to sell their products, and to sell those products, you probably will have to look into halal as well. The digitalization and the changing of global demographics, the millennials, the wanting to buy products that are online, and digitalization also provides the technology to help with quality assurance, with tracing, like blockchain applications, tracing of the products and ensuring that the quality is there. So this is where halal meets sustainable. I mean, there's many other factors, but these are the main ones that are I can highlight now to say that where halal meets sustainability as a business proposition. Next slide, please. Now, I will speak very briefly about when we mention about where halal meets sustainability, we spoke about the business aspects of it, the global economy, the shifts and the supply chain and the consumer demands. What about the basic foundations, the philosophical foundations, the values? What does it say? And I'm not going to quote verses from the Quran or other sayings, or I will just here highlight two things. Number one, if you go to the next slide. Now, when I was doing my research on this topic many years ago, I realized that 1,000 years ago there was a scholar in Palestine who published. This is exactly 1,000 years ago, and he was a scholar of Islamic law, Islamic jurisprudence, and one of his publications was about air pollution. He spoke about air pollution. Now, you would wonder, why would 1,000 years ago, when there was no factories that emitting carbon dioxide and methane and all that, what would someone write about air pollution? Now, why would he write about air pollution? Because there is a common value there that I mentioned, and the common value is to be responsible in your activities. At that time, 1,000 years ago, there were many businesses that are heating iron, that blacksmiths, that they are manufacturing basic stuff, but they're not disposing of their byproducts appropriately, polluting the air. So you can smell in the air, there's a lot of smoke, there is a lot of particles that are polluting air. So he wrote a book about how to purify air and how. Why did he write that book? Because embedded in his values was the fact that as a Muslim, as a scholar of Islamic law, I have to also be conscious of my impact and also how we treat Earth. We are created, we are sent here as stewards, as stewards on Earth, as trustees by the Creator, to look after Earth, to make sure that what we do here is kind to Earth. If I look at the second slide in this section, the second slide. Thank you. This is Prince Charles addressing the World Islamic Economic Forum in 2013. Exactly 8 years ago, he said, this is why he was addressing a conference of Islamic Economic Forum. And he was saying, this is why financial and business organizations that keep to the principles embedded within Islam could be helpful in forging a more ethical approach that leads to equitable outcomes, improving the prospects for successful business and financial stability. As it does so, in fact, scaled up, these ideas could help the world achieve a more realignment. Whereby effective management of the many threats now settling us results in more successful. Anyway, Prince Charles is very big supporter and advocate of sustainability and environmentalism. He addressed that conference and he said, look, you as leaders of the Islamic economy sectors and Islamic economy in general, professors, practitioners, CEOs, academics, Sharia scholars, you have a duty to bring closer Islamic finance, Islamic banking and finance, which is the major contributor of the halal industry, closer to and take care of the impact and realign your businesses under Islamic and ethical based financing to bring it closer to the sustainability sectors in order for us to start looking into this a little bit more seriously. Next slide, please. I'm approaching the end of my presentation, so bear with me. So how do we bring those both together? How do we bring halal and sustainability together? Next slide. Now, I need the rest of the slide. Sorry. Why? What is in there for small businesses? Why would they consider sustainability if these businesses are in the halal sectors? There is the financial aspects of it. You will be entering new markets. You will be looking after future-proofing your businesses. You will be looking to adopt practices that are for the future. And hence, you will be investing in the resilience of your business and the sustainability of your business success. I don't want to go through all these aspects here, but there are many aspects why a small business in the halal sector can look into this. From longevity, from if you are in the manufacturing sector, looking after the safeguarding your factories, your manufacturing lines, your production lines, by adopting practices that are good and also quality assured practices to ensure that you are, for example, I mean, when we look at some of the production lines, when they adopt some of these sustainability practices, they end up taking energy efficiency as one of the main drivers there. Why? To reduce their carbon emissions, carbon dioxide, carbon footprint. So they end up reducing their cost of production because they save on electricity. Intellectual, your company, your products will be known as green, you'll be known as halal green, there'll be more buyers for your products. Human aspect, your employees will be more satisfied, you'll be able to retain your staff, and you will be able to invest and bring on more investors into your business. The social and other relationship aspects, the impact on the society, doing good to society, and more, and also not to mention the natural aspects of it and preserving the resource efficiency, and also help preserve things like the forest, the marine life, and also the water resources countries that we have. So that is better resource management, preservation of forests, and managing our natural resources in a more efficient way. This is the value proposition for not just for halal businesses, for any businesses that want to survive the future of business in the next few decades. Next slide. So, example of a halal and sustainable business here, industry and product opportunities. The F&B, if you manage to get your halal products certified, Sharia compliant, it could be we used an example here of tropical fruits, and see how the sales have, increased as a result of adopting safe and healthy, sustainable produced foods. So your products will not be just known as a good product, but also will have the added value of the halal certification, the added value of the quality certification, health, safety, hygiene, and also your own production lines and your own network and supply chain will be run on a more efficient basis. Next slide, please. So if I look at the banking side, what did we do in CIMB? And I will try and make this as quickly as I can. In CIMB, we have embedded sustainability as one of our major strategies going forward. Sustainability now is one of our pillars. It's the way we do business and the way we aspire to do business. We have embedded sustainability and sustainability actions in our governance and risk, how we govern the business, how we report sustainability, how we measure our risks, and how we evaluate the risks of businesses that we lend to. Stakeholder engagement, we listen to our stakeholders, the investors, staff, regulators, and our customers as well, to see what they think of our products, what they want to see implemented, and how they want to see us taking this forward. We measure our impacts on our clients and our society, and we aspire to provide them the best solutions that will help them adopt these practices going forward. Next slide. So in terms of products and services, now as a strategy, the previous slide shows us how we have embedded this in our strategy. Sorry. What about businesses? What are our products and services? In businesses, we have launched the sustainability linked loans financing. We have committed about 3 billion Malaysian ringgit allocated for sustainability linked loans. We have the sustainability bonds and sukuk. We have been leading the way there with the issuances of green sukuk and bonds in Malaysia and Indonesia. We have also launched the SME renewable energy financing program for SMEs. And we have launched, a few slides later, I will speak about other propositions for SMEs. For individuals, we have the preferred green residential homes and hybrid cars, eco-safe savings accounts, and affordable housing and ESG investment products. These are some of the products and services that we aspire to do for businesses and individuals. Next slide. But more importantly, I would like to spend a little bit more time in talking about the one particular proposition that we have within SME, within CIMB, and that is the biz-ready propositions for SMEs. What are these propositions? At the moment, they are comprising three main propositions: CIMB Green Biz Ready, and CIMB Halal Biz Ready, and CIMB Micro Biz Ready. Why do we have those propositions? The idea here is that we engage with SMEs who want to understand the halal business better, or want to understand the green sustainable business better, and they want to take steps towards changing their business practices. Some businesses may be in the halal sectors, but they don't have certification, for example. They don't know where to start, or they may not know where do we start from. They can contact us. This is the link there. They can email us, and we will be able to help them start that journey, understand better by connecting them to the right partners that we have. The same thing we do here for companies who want to start a journey in sustainability and green. They may like the idea, they may understand the necessity of why they should adopt sustainable practices, but they may not know where to start and how to start or where to go to. And that also is a proposition that we have taken that step to provide those SMEs willing and wanting to go into that journey to contact us and we will make sure we advise them on who to contact, some of our partners, and we will accompany them in that journey. We will make sure that, you know, if they are serious about that journey, that they are connected, supported, and also assessed throughout the journey. Lastly, the MicroBiz Ready. MicroBiz Ready basically is a program that we do for the very small businesses. It's collaboration with Taylor community of Taylor's University. The idea here is that those small businesses that are affected badly by the pandemic, or smaller home-based businesses that want to grow their business and they want to start becoming commercially bankable. So that program will provide them the education, will provide them the necessary tools, and also the necessary guidance to start their online business shops, and also to understand the basics of banking 101. So these are basically, in brief, the three propositions we have for SMEs under the Biz Ready propositions. Next slide. I want to spend a little bit more time here also to mention what I mentioned earlier about the global markets and how they are now expanding, and how you know, the demand in global markets. So if you are an exporter of halal products, or you are exporting to export ready, and you have a production line that you are looking for buyers in new markets, this is one of the tools that we have. We are members of the Trade Club Alliance. It's a conglomerate of or an alliance of about 15 banking group. Quite recently, this week actually, Bank of China have joined that alliance. So this platform here provides SMEs and businesses the ability to find buyers and suppliers in other countries. So if you are, you know, say for example, a producer of coffee beans or coffee products, and you're looking for buyers in Italy, maybe we can help you connect with customers of one of our partner banks in Italy. This is something that we are doing at the moment. We are in active discussion with a number of banks to find buyers, and also we suppliers for some of our customers. Next slide. If I go back now to the Green Biz Ready that I mentioned, and the network that we have with us, as you mentioned here, you can see the Trade Club. We have solar manufacturers and installers, and solar power marketplaces. You can go and you can find out whether this will work for you. We have a number of solution providers like Business HR and Shopmatic. We have a number of government agencies like MIDA, Matrade, and CIRM and MGTC, Green Tech Malaysia. And we have also a United Nations affiliated network, PFAN. This is a network of what do you call it? Sustainable investors, and also project financiers. This is the network that we provide under the Green Biz Ready. So how does the big Green Biz Ready, if you are serious about going through this, what can we offer you? Next slide. What can we offer you? You contact us and you say, CIMB, I would like to start a sustainability journey. How can you help me? What can you offer me? Well, the first thing is we will offer you an assessment. We will tell you where, not ourselves, but through our partners, Impacto, who are sustainability consultants. This will be provided to you at no cost to yourselves. We will provide you the ability to establish where your business stands from a sustainability perspective. What are the risk areas in your business? What are the key changes that you need to make in order to comply, in order to become green business, halal business, green halal business, or even non-halal business? And then provide you with a set of guidelines if you want recommendations, if you want to take this further. If you want to take this further, we will give you the opportunity also free of charge to discuss with the consultant at an in-depth level, where the result of that will be a report highlighting certain areas and give you some even further recommendations. And if you want to start adopting this and you require guidance throughout the process, we will give you access to that consultant for a set period of time. So this is basically what we offer under the Green Biz Ready. In addition to the network of partners or affiliates, we also give you the ability to start establishing where you stand with regards to sustainability, how to move on in that journey, and how to become a greener or more sustainable business in the future. This is a future-proofing tool for businesses to start their journey with us. Next slide. Halal Biz Ready, we do the same. If you are in the halal business, and we know that there is a big gap in the market here, we know that out of the nearly 1 million SMEs, let's just say out of the 1 million, 250,000 are in the right sector to be eligible for halal certification. Less than 10% of that is actually labeled halal or halal certified. So there's a huge gap in the market. And as you can see from one of the earlier slides, Malaysia is ranked #1 when it comes to the provision of services like this and government support. But when it comes to exporting globally, we are number 15. So exactly what we did for Green Biz Ready, we are also doing for Halal Biz Ready. If you want to start a journey, find out how your business can become halal certified, and you have issues with knowing where to start, how to start, who to connect with, or you're looking for the right financial solutions, then speak to one of our contacts and speak to anyone from our team, and we will be able to help you and guide you through this process. Next slide, please. Thank you. I thought I had the slide with the contact details, but in any way, you can always contact us at bizready@cimb.com if you want to find out more on those propositions that I just mentioned. Thank you very much. I hope I've covered this in some details and also without boring you too much. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them now. And if you don't have any questions, feel free to contact us anytime. Feel free to just email us, bizready@cimb.com, and we will be more than happy to engage with you and give you the support that you truly deserve as an SME. Any questions from the floor? Okay, if there's no questions, then I hope that's a reflection of the clarity of the presentation. And in any case, if you need any further information, you can visit our website. You can email us at bizready@cimb.com, and one of our professional executives will attend to your queries, and we'll be more than happy to engage with you meaningfully and also to take this further. If you have no other further question, then we may end this session. Thank you.